Hi, Doug. Before this episode starts, I need to tell you about something that could change the entire trajectory of your private practice. December the 8th through the 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting the Profitable Private Practice Workshop. And if you own a practice, this is the most important thing you can do with the final month of 2025. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, Dr. Una, I do not own a private practice, I'm telling you so you can tell your friends. Okay, so we're going to rebuild your practice on the three pillars that make it truly profitable: a full, predictable schedule, getting paid for the work you already do, and building a profitable team, the kind of team that gives you more revenue, more freedom, and a lot more impact. The way you close 2025 determines how you start 2026. So don't miss this. Show up live and don't come alone. The link to register is entremd.com/workshop. That's entremd.com/workshop. Invite the private practice owners in your world and let's rise together. And now for the episode. Poor action is one of the most expensive things in your business. Poor action robs you of being unstoppable, robs you of having a business that can grow by leaps and bounds, robs you of becoming the kind of entrepreneur who can run that kind of business, robs you of the wisdom of your business, robs you of everything. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. Welcome back to our 5-part series on the 5 things that I'm focusing on for 2026. And I invite you to focus on the same, because this is what we need to do to create massive momentum, massive wins in our business, massive progress. So we've already looked at expectations. That was the first one. And we have looked at your skill sets. That was the second one. And today we're going to look at something that is so powerful. So powerful. I consider this one of my superpowers, and it's something that I train my clients on all the time. And if you get this, it creates unbelievable change in your business. And I'll tell you what it is in a second. But this is the deal. Most people, most entrepreneurs if you check what they're focused on, not what they think they're focused on, if you check what they're focused on, they are focused on all the things that they don't have time to do. Like, oh, my business would look this way if I had time to do this. I would have hit $1 million in revenue if I had time to sell. I would have hit, $10 million in revenue if I had the time to hire and all that. They spend their time so focused on what they don't have time to do. Okay. Another subsect of entrepreneurs, they are so focused on doing everything, doing all the things. So when you meet them, they're hustling, they're grinding, they're working, they're pushing, they're doing all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you're like, you don't really see progress that matches the level of effort. Okay. And then the third group of people, which is the group I want to invite you to subscribe to at 100%, are the people who are hyper-focused on finding those few activities, those few actions that move the needle the most, and they go all in on those activities, right? And so the third thing that we're going to focus on for 2026 is strategic action. Not just any action, not just randomly doing stuff, but strategic action. Okay? All right, so let's talk about this, right? Now, this is going to sound so simple. And I've said this a number of times on the podcast, but I'll say it again. When you listen to my podcast or read my books or do any of those things, and you're like, oh, this is so simple, understand that my whole job is to take complex business principles and make them simple. Okay? It's kind of like a step-down transformer. That's what I do, right? And so don't be confused by it. It's simple so you can do it. It's simple so you can do it consistently. It's simple so you can go all in on it. Don't be confused. Okay. All right. So don't get bored. This is a basic principle, a foundational principle. And I tell my clients all the time, I say, don't get bored with the basics, get better at the basics. Okay. Again, let's go back to basketball. If you see a great player, right? A LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, a Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, all of them, they don't have new moves. It's the same moves. It's the same free throw. It's the same 2-point shot. It's the same 3-point shot. It's the same rebound. It's the same defense. But they're just so good at it. So I want to invite you. We're not going to look for 1 million things and all this. No, we're going to find the things and we're going to become so good at them. So don't get bored with this. Okay. All right. To explain this to you, I'm going to go back to the Pareto principle, which you know, but we don't get bored with the basics. Okay. And which essentially states that 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. Okay? 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. The Dr. Una version, the EntreMD version of that is if 10 actions took you to $1 million in revenue, 2 of those actions will bring you to $800,000. 8 of those actions will bring you to $200,000. Most entrepreneurs are focused on the 8 things. That's a lot of things that will give you $200,000, which is not as much money, instead of focusing and they strategically avoid the 2 things that would give them $800,000 because it's uncomfortable. They have to learn new skill. They might do it messy. They're worried about what people think about them. I'm a firm believer, let's go all in. If I can do 2 things and get $800,000, I would just do it more and go to 1.6 million rather than spend my time working on the 8 things that'll only give me $200,000. And you should be on the same page with me. Okay. So this is the deal. So I want to pick a scenario and play out what does it mean to run reps with this whole concept of strategic action. Okay. All right. So we're going to play around with this doc. We'll just call her Dr. Ebony. Dr. Ebony is a character from the Profitable Private Practice Playbook. And if you own a private practice and you do not have that book, you need that book. Your office manager needs that book. If you have partners, they need that book as well. It will change your practice. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through 5 steps here. Okay. So what are the steps? I want to be this person who takes strategic action. Okay. What are the 5 steps I need to run? So number 1 is define the goal. Okay. Number 1 is define the goal. And in this case, it could be a sub goal. So for this doctor, this is a sub goal. So let's say they have this big revenue goal and all this stuff, and they decide for this next month, we want to have 40 new patients. Okay. 40 new patients, made it up. This is the goal. Now, when we set goals, we have to remember that a lot of times we lie to ourselves. A lot of times we protect ourselves, even when we don't know it, right? So when you define that goal, you have to ask yourself, so this doctor says, I want 40 new patients. Okay. Now, does this line up with your annual goals, like the big picture? Is this taking you towards your big picture, right? Because the whole purpose of a daily goal is to help you accomplish your weekly goal. The whole purpose of a weekly goal is to help you accomplish a monthly goal. The whole purpose of a monthly goal is to help you accomplish your yearly goal, and so on and so forth, right? And so every goal needs to be in alignment with the big picture. Otherwise, it's a distraction. It's a waste of time. It's something that maybe was good to do, but didn't matter, right? Okay. So the first question is this taking me towards my bigger goal? And so for this doctor, based on her revenue goal, she's like, yeah, absolutely. This is taking me where I want to go. Then the second question I would ask is, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you come to the end of this new month and the big thing you accomplished is that you got 40 new patients, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Okay. So Dr. Ebony is like, are you kidding me? I will be so excited. I will be like, it's a 20 out of 10. Then we have picked the right goal. If the answer is like 3, then you didn't pick the goal. Like, there's something you really want. There's something you really think, like, this is what I need to do in my business, but you didn't own it. Maybe because you feel it would be a lot of work, or you feel it take a lot of time, or you feel you don't have the team for it, or you're afraid of failing, or whatever. And I would still call that out. Like, okay, but what do you really want? Because a lot of times when we hide them, they seem scarier than they really are. May not be that scary at all. Okay. So first step is defining the goal. And we put these 2 questions here. So if your mind is protecting you from you can catch it and fix the goal. Okay. So the second thing I would tell Dr. Ebony is, okay, now that you've defined the goal, let's define the strategic action. Like, what are the things to do that will give you 40 new patients, right? Now, when you think about it, I could probably list, like, without thinking too hard, 30 things that she could do. But we don't belong to the group of people who would go do 30 things. We would look for the things, right? Like, what are the things? Now, will her business get to a place where maybe she has team and all this stuff and automations in place where she could be executing 30 things? Maybe. But the thing is this: simplicity scales, complexity constraints. So we're looking for, what is that clean, elegant path to get there? Okay. For Dr. Ebony, I would then ask her a few questions to help her kind of decide, like, what would those be? So one question would be, well, what is working? What is working? Like, the patients that you do have, how are 80% of them finding you, right? That is the reverse Pareto principle, where I'm like, if 80%, then this might be a 20% activity. For her, maybe she says, oh my goodness, like, our referrals, we have these referrals and all this stuff. It's amazing. My team hits the recaller that works. I'm like, great. So we're already seeing some things that we may use to build this strategic action plan. Okay. Then I'm like, okay, well, what is a low-hanging fruit for you? It's something that works and you have the things set up to do it, but you just haven't done it, right? And she may say, we gather emails, we got an email service provider, and all of these things. And I have a team member who is a really good copywriter who could do our emails, but we just don't do emails. But this is the thing. Out of sight is out of mind. And if we're not in front of our patients, maybe they're not scheduling as many appointments. There are people who are overdue for appointments. Like if they got an email, they would just schedule. With an easy way to schedule, they would just schedule. So that's a low-hanging fruit. So we may say, let's add it. Okay. Then we may say, well, what is a proven strategy that works? And I may tell her, listen, like in the pandemic, a huge reason why we thrived was because we worked that recaller. And she might say, yeah, like, okay, let's do that. Let's add the recaller to it. It's a proven thing that works, right? And a recaller is really you calling patients you already have who are overdue for checkups, which for some practices, this is hundreds. For some practices, this is thousands of people, like thousands of appointments you could generate that way. Okay. Another question I could ask her, I'm like, what is something that will work that somebody on your team could easily handle? Easily. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. Either somebody on your team or an automation can handle. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. Like we started having a lot of patients who came in and we asked them how why they came to us. They're like, oh, we saw your reviews. And it's like, oh, I have this service that I can sign up for. Or I have this team member who could go around asking people for reviews and we can get a ton of reviews that way. And that can bring more people in. Do you see how those questions are kind of directing how this person will find the plan they want to work? So that leaves her with 5 things. She's going to hit the recaller. She's going to work her referrals. She's going to work her email list. She's going to work her reviews. And the thing that always worked for her, she's like, every time I post, I get new appointments, is her social media. So now we have 5 actions. And when we look at the 5 actions, we'll find out that referrals, she would probably top 20% referrals. Her team can handle the rest. She will probably do her own social media, at least the creation, and then her team can help her uploading and all of those things. But the other activities that are there, her team can do it. So even though it's 5 things, she's doing 2 things. And if she has 4 or 5 referral sources that are the top 20%, it means over the course of a month, she has 5 appointments and then she's doing social media content. That's it. The team is handling the rest. But do you see she has a strategic plan? She's like, this is the plan. Okay. Now, most people don't do number 1 and they don't do number 2, but 99% of people don't do number 3. Okay. All right. What is number 3? What is the third step? Throw volume and speed behind the strategic action plan. Throw volume and speed. What do I mean by that? Now that she's made this decision, let me tell you what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. They've made the decision, okay, I want to have 40 new patients next month. These are the 5 things that would generate all these appointments and all of these things. And this is so nice. And 3 days go by. They haven't started taking action. 1 week goes by. They haven't started taking action. 3 weeks go by. They haven't started taking action. At the end of the month, they're like, oh man, nothing is working. What? So when I say speed, what I mean is as soon as you're done with the plan, it is time to start putting in the reps. So if you made the decision, then now it's time to act. And for me, I understand the power of inertia, right? Like, it's like, I don't want to move. And so what I do is I'm like, if I can just give up my need for motivation, give up my need for feeling a certain way for this, and give up my need for perfection, then I can just start it. Because the second is once you start it, it's so much easier to continue, right? Don't start 5 weeks from now, a week from now, whatever. Once you make the strategic plan, it's time to go. Okay, so speed to begin. Okay, now I said speed and volume. So, all right, to explain this properly, I have to tell you about an attending who trained me, an infectious disease doctor. Her name is Dr. Espiritu. She is so amazing, so amazing. She had this thing. She would say, when we say, what dose of vancomycin do you want us to use for this patient, right? And we're like, the range is from X to Y. She will always say to us, don't tickle the bug, kill the bug. And what she meant by that is, if the range for something is 15 to 40 milligrams, what are you doing with 15 milligrams? What are you doing with 20? What are you doing with 30? Kill the bug. Right? Give the 40, kill the bug. And so in the same way, when you develop a strategic action plan, you want to throw volume behind it. Like don't tickle the goal, don't tickle the plan, like work it, right? And so if you're hitting the recaller and you have 1,000 patients overdue, like divvy it up with the team. Boom, let's hit the ground. Give the team the time for it and hit the ground, like hit the plan, right? You're going to send your emails and you're going to do one a week. Make sure they're going out one a week. You're doing the social media. And some people may say, oh, this is too much, but I want you to think about it. If you're doing a reel a day, a reel is, I mean, like you could do 60 seconds. You could do 90 seconds. You can do 3 minutes. But if you did 3 minutes a day and ended up with the 40 new patients you wanted and how much ever that comes to in revenue, like, was it worth it? Right? And if you think about it, you talk all day, you see patients all day, you take histories all day, you're doing all this stuff all day. You're just going to say the same things you always say with your camera on. I'll give you an instance. Like for me, I'm constantly studying business. Like this is almost like a default setting of my brain, right? And I said to myself, I was like, man, I need to just convert these to real. I'm always thinking about business. I'm always thinking about how to make things easier, all that. I was like, I'm just going to start doing a reel a day. And I'm just going to knock all these things that I'm thinking out. And now I end up sometimes doing 3 or 4 because I'm like, oh, let me capture that thought, right? So it's no longer content creation. It's me getting my message out there, right? So anyway, or you can batch it. You know, you come on Monday, you shoot 5 of them, you're done for the week. Your team can post and all that stuff. But anyway, the point is to throw volume. If you're going to ask people for reviews, ask a lot of people, right? Like do it like you mean it. Okay. So throw volume and speed at the strategic plan. Okay. That's number 3. Number 4, again, this is one that 99.9999999% of people will not do. Okay, but not you. You're an EntreMD, and this is awesome. After you're done with that, after Dr. Ebony, they threw volume behind it, right? They did it like they meant it. They took Dr. Espiritu's of it. Don't tickle the bug, right? Now it's time to analyze. It's time to analyze. You start asking your questions. I would ask her questions like, what worked? She's like, Dr. Una, oh my goodness. I was like, my referral sources, like I got in contact with them and all of those things, and found a way to make it even easier for them to get their patients in. And we ended up with 60 new patients, and 40 of them came from 2 referral sources. I'm like, interesting. Why do you think that is? She's like, Dr. Una, with what I do, the wait time for that is 2 months. We didn't know. They have to wait somewhere else 2 months. We can get them in 2 days. Aha. Right? So what worked? Why did it work? What didn't work? Oh, Dr. Una, the social media thing, we didn't get any patients from that. That didn't work at all. Why didn't it work? I don't really know. How often did you post? To be honest, like once a week. So it didn't work because you didn't work it. This is a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. And so we don't lie. When it's time to analyze, we don't lie. We observe. We observe and we don't judge, but we observe. Because we don't tell ourselves the truth. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. So with the things that worked, the question is, how could we make it even better? Like, Dr. Ebony, you got those 2 referral sources and both of them give you 40 patients. Like, how could they give us more patients? Who else could give us 20 patients a month, right? And stuff like that. So what worked, like, can we optimize it? What didn't work is there an iteration that would work? So for instance, social media, okay, we didn't do it. Okay, why didn't we do it? I felt like it was too much time. Okay, fine. How about we sit here and you just document the top 20 questions, your patients ask you, boom, those become reels. Just answer them on reels. How about that? Oh, Dr. Una, that's awesome. I can do that. Let's do that. Okay, let's do it. Let's go, right? So there's an iteration. Why is this important? Because the next step, which is number 5, is go for a new cycle. Okay, so go for a new cycle. So let's say she was like, my new target is I want to get 80 new patients in a month or whatever, right? So let's say this is her target. And then she can with the wisdom, now she has wisdom because she had speed of execution, she had volume of execution, she's analyzed it, she knows what worked, she knows what didn't work and all of that. So it's not the same her showing up to the next 30-day block or 90-day block. This is a new her who's wiser, who's smarter, who knows her business better, who knows what works with her people better, knows what works with her referral sources better. So now she creates a new cycle. So she would then say, oh, in this cycle, now we are going to, we have the referral sources, so we're going to look for how to serve the 2 that have sent us a lot of people at a much higher level. And we're now going to use this messaging. Like, your patients typically wait 2 months to get in with this kind of doctor, but with us, we can get your patient in 2 days. Instead of saying, oh, I'm a board certified, blah, 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 because a lot of times, who cares? They have problems that need to be fixed. They can't get their patients to see somebody. That's what they care about. Right? Okay. So she's like, okay, we're going to optimize the 2 referral sources that we have, and we're going to see if we can acquire 3 more. Right? So we're using this new messaging. That's perfect. We're going to continue the emails because that worked. The social media, we're going to have at least a post out a day. The reviews, that worked, and all of that. So now let's go for another cycle. Now they work the whole process. They've looked at the goal, new goal, 80. Then they've looked at the strategic action plan. They've developed it. And then now she's going to throw volume and speed behind it again. Come back and analyze, start a new cycle. I want you to think, if she did this every 90 days for a year, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? She would be a brand new kind of entrepreneur, like much more savvy entrepreneur. And her business will be so much better, like a gazillion times better, right? Okay, let me point this out here. Poor action is one of the most expensive things in your business, because I'm sure you're already excited for Dr. Ebony because you're like, oh my goodness, if she does this, she'll be unstoppable. Poor action robs you of being unstoppable, robs you of having a business that can grow by leaps and bounds, robs you of becoming the kind of entrepreneur who can run that kind of business, robs you of the wisdom of your business, robs you of everything. It is the most expensive thing in your business is poor action. The most expensive thing. Now, poor action falls in categories. I'll explain what I mean. Poor action, one type of poor action is no action. So if you find yourself in your business, you know, these are the things that if I do, they'll move my business forward, but you can't just bring yourself to do them. It's time to step out of it. You have to understand that it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, potentially millions of dollars every year. It's costing you that. It's time to fix it. Okay, that's no action. Then there is slow action, where, oh, this is something that would work. 2 months later, you haven't done it. 3 months later, you haven't done it. 5 months later, like speed to execution is what you need. So slow action is so expensive. It can cost you hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars every single year. Then there is low volume action. Oh yes, my strategy for this month is going to be going live. And then you go live twice in the month. Right? My strategy is I'm going to talk to referral sources. Then you talk to 2 referral sources. It is so expensive. It is costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars every single year. So I want to invite you to start focusing on strategic action. You must bring yourself to a point where you're willing to do whatever it takes to be the person who takes strategic action consistently. Okay? Now, I understand that you can understand these things, but you're like, I need help to implement this consistently. So in the EntreMD Business School, one of the things that we do is we have 90-day sprints. We have the last 90-day sprint workshop of the year coming up soon. And if you're watching this right after it was released, or you're listening to it right after it released, it's coming up in the month of December, right? And we do a 90-day sprint where we're like, okay, what are the top goals? What is the strategic plan? What is this? What is that? We map everything out. And there are other things, right? This is just the action part. There are more layers to this. And then we develop this whole plan and we throw speed and volume at it. And then we come back and then we go again. And that is why we have clients who are getting 4 years in one. The first year I brought this to the school, it was very, very common to see, oh my goodness, I did more in one quarter, so in one 90-day block, than I did all of last year. It was a very common thing. Why? Because this right here is a game changer of game changers. This is how you set the stage for momentum. This is how you set the stage for that. That's also the reason we do the challenges. Like, we're right in the middle of a challenge right now. And the funny thing is, it's not just the revenue, because people are making significant revenue moves. It's so wild. It's not just the revenue. So one doctor posted this in the group yesterday. She had been putting in the reps, like for the challenge, the specific challenge that we're doing. And she's like, I used to have so much anxiety because of my business. And now the anxiety is gone. Can you imagine that? Why? Because she put herself in a challenge of strategic action, right? Not just for, we talked about one goal, but there are multiple goals, including the goal of being a savvy physician CEO. So imagine what it would be like to not have anxiety about your business. Imagine what it would be like to create momentum, to grow, like to become a wiser, much more savvy entrepreneur every 90 days. Imagine getting rid of the most expensive thing in your business, which is poor action. Imagine that, right? If you've been thinking about the EntreMD Business School, for instance, you can go fill out an application, entremd.com/business. My team will be happy to talk to you, walk you through it and all of that stuff. But my goodness, if the only thing the school does for you is it puts you in a position where you go from inaction, poor action, to being focused on strategic action, it would have paid for itself many, many, many times over, because if you are not doing this, you are literally throwing away hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars every single year. So what do I want you to do? I want you to find a challenge in your business. So people say problem. I just prefer the word challenge instead, right? So find a problem or challenge in your business. Set a goal that is the answer to the challenge, is the antidote to the problem, and then develop your strategic plan and then run these reps. Okay, practice it. But for me, one of my big areas of focus for 2026 is going to be staying in a space of strategic action the entire time. So I'm not doing everything. I'm doing the most important things at speed and volume, right? With speed and volume, okay? And so I want that for you too. I want the next 12 months to be the most amazing 12 months of your entire life. I want you to be able to put yourself in a position where you become unrecognizable to yourself, to your family, to your business, to your community, to your industry, because you are this person who is focusing on the right expectations. You are focusing on the skill sets you need to build, and you are focusing on being a person who takes strategic action. We still have 2 more to go, but I want to invite you to start taking action on this, and I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast.